amber glow of my laptop screen cast an unsettling warmth on my face as I scrolled through random friend requests. Normally, such advances were met with a swift click of the decline button, fueled by warnings hammered into me by well-meaning friends. But something about Tommy piqued my curiosity. His message, a casual query about a shared love for a cult classic film, sparked a conversation that flowed effortlessly. Music, books, dreams. We delved into the tapestry of our lives, each word weaving a sense of easy connection. Then came the inevitable question, would you like to meet for dinner? A knot of apprehension tightened in my stomach. The thrill of the unknown battled with the ever-present warnings against digital dalliances. However, Tommy seemed genuine. His profile pictures showcased a wholesome existence, family barbecues, goofy grins with friends, the occasional solo shot showcasing a warm smile and kind brown eyes. Taking a deep breath, I sent a confirmation message, choosing Tandoor Palace, a fragrant gem of an Indian restaurant downtown, as our meeting point. I arrived 10 minutes early, a nervous flutter in my chest. Slipping into a booth facing the door, I scanned the bustling room, my stomach churning with a blend of anticipation and apprehension. The chime of the entrance bell sent shivers down my spine. Each time, a jolt of electricity surged through me, hoping to see a face that matched the faded image on his profile. Just then, a tall, athletic build with those same warm brown eyes, a shade darker than the picture, perhaps, scanned the room. His gaze met mine, and a smile, wider than the one in his photo, blossomed on his face. "Sarah?" he asked, his voice a surprisingly endearing croon. The tension around my heart loosened slightly. "Hi, Tommy," I reply, my voice a touch shaky. Awkward hellos were exchanged, a mutual confession that this was our first foray into the world of blind dates. His smile was disarming, easing the butterflies in my stomach. We settled into comfortable conversation, him regaling me with tales of his supposedly mundane accounting job, while I shared the chaotic adventures of freelance writing. As I confessed, a humiliating childhood memory of chickening out on a speech, his laughter filled the air, a joyous sound that chased away any lingering doubts. The night they flowed like fragrant basmati rice. Samosas were devoured, curries savored, and before we knew it, empty plates sat before us. The check arrived, and a sheepish smile crept across Tommy's face. "Wow, awkward," he mumbled, completely forgot my wallet at home. His pleading eyes held a genuine helplessness that disarmed me. It felt like a classic first date fumble, straight out of a rom-com. Chuckling, I waved away his apologies and reached for my card. His chagrin was almost comical as he patted down empty pockets, the sincerity in his brown eyes undeniable. Insistent on repayment, he even offered his driver's license as collateral. There was something about those eyes, an unexpected flicker that I brushed aside as a trick of the candlelight. Ultimately, paying didn't faze me. The genuine remorse in his demeanor was enough. As we walked to our cars, Tommy cleared his throat. "Can I take you out again, to make it up to you?" he asked, scuffing his shoe like a shy schoolboy. A smile bloomed on my face, genuine and warm. His whole face lit up at my agreement. Over the next few weeks, our connection deepened. Dinners, movie nights, and endless phone conversations became our routine. Even on quiet evenings, his funny memes and random observations from his dull accounting office lit up my phone screen. His name on the caller ID sent a familiar thrill through me, and I found myself gushing to my friends about this unexpected whirlwind romance. A month in, Tommy picked me up for a Mexican food date. The playful banter flowed as usual, then abruptly halted.
His smile vanished again.
"So funny thing," he muttered, his eyes darting away. "Seems I forgot my wallet again." A hollow chuckle escaped his lips. My smile faltered, replaced by a cold dread that coiled in my gut. The odds of someone forgetting their wallet twice seemed astronomically low. Irritation flickered to life, quickly morphing into a deep unease. Before I could voice my apprehension, Tommy offered a solution. "Hey, no problem. I'll just run in real quick and order while you wait here." The flickering gaslight cast long, grotesque shadows across the cobblestone street as I hurried towards the trendy cafe in Soho. My stomach churned with a nervous excitement. Amy, the woman I'd met on Tinder weeks ago, had finally agreed to meet. Our messages crackled with dark humor and a shared cynicism about life. She seemed way out of my league, a hauntingly beautiful creature with a voice that could melt glaciers. Somehow, she was into me. When she suggested a place with a bit of character in central London, I eagerly agreed, ignoring the frantic calculations in my already strained bank account. Just the thought of seeing her again, face to face, sent a thrill through me. I arrived embarrassingly early, wedging myself into a rickety table in the back corner. Every creak of the floorboard, every distant clatter of cutlery sent my already frantic heart into overdrive. Finally, the cafe door creaked open, and my breath hitched. Amy was more stunning in person than her profile pictures could convey. Her emerald eyes shimmered with unsettling intensity, and her smile seemed a touch too wide, revealing a hint of pointed canines beneath perfectly painted red lips. She glided towards me, a vision in a flowing black dress that seemed to absorb the dim light. Next to her, I felt like a shipwreck. My clothes, relics of a bygone college era, hung limply on my frame. A sense of absurdity washed over me. Did she even notice, or did she find the juxtaposition amusing? The hostess, a woman with a perpetual grimace, handed us menus bound in thick, cracked leather. A glance at the prices sent a wave of dizziness crashing over me. These weren't just expensive, they were exorbitant. My entire week's grocery budget wouldn't even cover half an entree. Trying to appear nonchalant, I choked down a whimper and ordered the cheapest salad they offered, along with a glass of lukewarm tap water. Amy, meanwhile, seemed completely at ease. She perused the menu with a predatory glint in her eyes, finally settling on a feast fit for a king lobster, a rare cut of steak, and a cheese platter that looked like a miniature landscape. As I watched her devour the grotesquely expensive meal, I attempted to maintain a conversation. Despite the oppressive atmosphere of the cafe, she seemed genuinely interested, regaling me with tales of her work at a mysterious PR firm. Her laughter, when it came, had a chilling chime, like wind chimes in a graveyard. Time seemed to lose all meaning as we talked. My initial awkwardness melted away, replaced by a sense of breathless exhilaration. How could this literal goddess be so interested in me? For some reason, amidst the flickering gaslight and unsettling ambience, it all felt strangely perfect. That illusion shattered the moment the bill arrived. A black, leather-bound monstrosity that seemed to emanate an oppressive aura. My heart hammered against my ribs as I flipped it open. The sum scrawled on the yellowed paper was an astronomical figure, far beyond even my wildest nightmares. I broke into a cold sweat, frantically calculating if my meager savings account could cover this nightmare. Just then, Amy's voice, sweet and melodic, snapped me out of my financial panic. "Wow, that's certainly quite a steep price tag," she purred, her emerald eyes locking onto mine with an intensity that sent shivers down my spine. "But wouldn't you agree, darling, that some things are worth every penny?" Before I could stammer out a response, a chilling smile stretched across her face, revealing a row of razor-sharp teeth. "Of course," she continued, her voice taking on a predatory edge. "You wouldn't want to disappoint a lady on our first date, would you?" Dazed and terrified, I mumbled something about putting it on my credit card. The words tasted like ash in my mouth. A satisfied glint flickered in Amy's eyes as she reached across the table, her touch sending a jolt of icy fear through me. "Excellent," she whispered, her voice low and dangerous. "Now, perhaps we can continue this date somewhere a little more private." That's when I noticed the faint, sickly sweet stench that clung to her, the unmistakable aroma of decay. A primal scream lodged itself in my throat as Amy beckoned me to follow her out of the cafe, into the swirling fog that obscured the cobblestone streets, towards a darkness that promised only terror. The flickering fluorescent lights of the office park felt like a distant memory as I preened in the mirror, anticipation bubbling in my stomach. Tonight was the night of my date with Mason, the charmingly awkward guy I'd met at the work conference weeks ago. His dry wit had been a welcome respite from the droning seminar speakers, and his genuine smile had melted the winter chill that had settled over my dating life. He'd secured my number with a nervous grin, and later an invitation to a movie. Thrilled it had been far too long since sparks had flown, I readily agreed. We planned to meet at the theater that Friday evening. Arriving early, I fidgeted with the hem of my dress, trying to mask my eagerness. A wave from across the lobby caught my eye. It was Mason, looking even better than he had in his stuffy conference attire. He sported a clean-cut suit and a nervous energy that mirrored my own.
He pulled me into a quick hug, the touch sending a jolt through me.
His smile, though shy, held a hint of something predatory. I pushed the thought aside, attributing it to first date jitters. The movie listings assaulted us with a barrage of colorful posters. Relief washed over me when he readily agreed to my cheesy romance pick, even forgoing his usual action flick fix. What a gentleman, I thought, a smile curving my lips as we chatted during the ticket purchase. At the concession stand, Mason insisted on buying a large popcorn and 2 sodas. As we navigated the dimly lit corridor, his hand brushed lightly against my lower back, a gesture that surprised me. I brushed it off, assuming innocent awkwardness. Settling into our plush seats, I playfully placed the popcorn bag between us, a playful barrier. As the previews droned, Mason leaned in, whispering witty comments about the upcoming releases. This time, his hand grazed my thigh as he reached for popcorn. I shifted subtly away, attributing it to clumsy enthusiasm. But halfway through the film, during a particularly quiet scene, the air crackled with a shift.
Mason casually draped his arm across the back of my seat.
A knot of unease tightened in my stomach. Before I could voice my discomfort, his hand descended, landing squarely on my knee. It wasn't a fleeting touch. It was a firm, possessive squeeze. My blood ran cold. Had I been misreading all his previous gestures? Was I overreacting? Panic gnawed at the edges of my mind. I tried shifting away, brushing his hand off with a nervous laugh, but my heart hammered a frantic rhythm against my ribs. He ignored the subtle protest, his fingers trailing up my arm, lingering on my shoulder. My recoil was met with a predatory grin. He leaned in close, his cheap cologne a suffocating presence. His hot breath tickled my ear as he murmured something unintelligible. Terror replaced confusion. Without a second thought, I shoved him away with all my might. Scrambling out of my seat, I bolted for the exit sign, its fluorescent glow a beacon of safety in the oppressive darkness. The lobby was deserted, bathed in an unnerving brightness. I reached the guest services desk, legs trembling, and choked out my story in a breathless rush. The attendant, startled by my panicked state, assured me security would handle Mason. Escorted to a quiet waiting area, I replayed the encounter in my mind, each touch a searing brand. Had I been giving off the wrong signals? The self-doubt gnawed at me like a starving beast. But then the memory of his predatory gaze, the audacity of his actions, solidified my resolve. Two burly security guards emerged from the lobby. The larger one led me outside while the other presumably confronted Mason. Leaning against the cool brick wall, I finally allowed myself to breathe. Cars whizzed by, oblivious to the internal war I had just waged. The Uber ride home was blessedly uneventful, but the encounter left a stain on my soul. Anger bubbled alongside the fear. I replayed every detail, dissecting my actions, searching for a reason, a justification for his behavior. A voice, insidious and doubt-filled, whispered in my head, planting seeds of self-blame. But I shut it down. No, this was not my fault. Mason, and his complete disregard for my boundaries, was the problem. This incident left a lasting scar. For a while, even the most harmless interactions with men felt fraught with suspicion. But slowly, with time and self-compassion, I learned to trust my instincts again. This ordeal taught me a valuable lesson. When someone repeatedly crosses boundaries, ignoring the warning signs can have dangerous consequences. Walking away.